Solana is now at its break point, and in a good way. We're going to break down all the things that have been happening in Lisbon, along with some of the news that I think you guys will want to pay attention to. This starts to move into a lot of other areas of crypto, and I'll explain all that good stuff. My name is Paul Barron. Welcome back into TechPath. Getting into it today, I do want to thank our sponsor today, and that is Binance.us. Make sure and check them out. If you're looking at trading or converting Bitcoin, you can do that now with zero fees. And you can do some other things over there if you can actually jump into their staking program, which is one that I actually use. And they've got a couple of really good tokens, I think, in terms of what they're currently paying right now. Solana at 7.5%, Matic at almost 6% at 5.7%. You've got ETH at 6% right now. So there are some good opportunities. And then Near Protocol, 10% APY. So just something if you are looking at an exchange, trying to jump into some opportunities with staking, but also trying to maybe get into a position to better your overall strategy, whether it's exchange strategy and self-custody strategy. I'll talk about all that in another video, but this is the place to go, and that is Binance.us. Just click the link below. Also, a reminder to everyone, as you guys are watching this, make sure and like the video, because we're going to get into a lot of details around Solana. So much so, if you are not following our channel, you want to pay attention to this playlist right here, which is our Solana playlist. We're going to add a few more videos to the playlist. Lots happening from Lisbon and really breaking out what the potential of Solana could be, but also some of the pitfalls. So it's not all cherry news. There are some things that you have to pay attention to. So make sure and stick around on the whole video for that. But check that playlist out. You guys are going to like it for sure. All right, so let's get into a little bit about Breakpoint. And if you guys are maybe just now coming on to our channel, maybe for the first time starting to look at Solana, and this video has somehow found its way into your feed. Breakpoint is Solana's major event, both for devs, VIPs, industry experts, investors, all those types were all centered around Lisbon, Portugal. And it has recently happened, just ended yesterday. And pretty cool. I was just playing this video right here and kind of get a quick view of what's going on over there. But they had a lot of interesting events. Now, at the same time, I looked at this event and I think, the gravitas of many of the tech events that I've been to over the years, this is a pretty decent size one, but I will kind of consider this similar to the early days of, everything from podcasting to kind of the evolution of what we saw with even the World Wide Web of events starting to come together. Still not massive, but definitely enough that I think a lot of the right people were at this event. So pretty cool stuff for sure in terms of what they're trying to pull off. There was another tweet right here I think is probably one of the more important ones, and that is developer activity keeps climbing. Now with 3 times as many active developers on GitHub repos this year as this time last year. And the network gets increasingly more composable. And I think this is something that I talk about all the time. You can kind of see the numbers right here. Daily unique programs, GitHub dev repos. Look at that, August 21, 2,400 to where we are right now in November, 20,000. This is a 10x move. Not bad for what's happening, and of course, almost a 10x move right here in August 21 through November in terms of daily unique programs. So, as you guys know, in any kind of Web3 development cycle and also project, the lifeblood of any of these projects is going to be built on 2 things. One is the devs, and second, of course, is the dApps. There can be a lot of devs, but if they're not generating a lot of applications or potential use cases, utility, then you end up with some other kinds of chains. I won't mention names, but you end up with chains that don't move very fast, have a problem with getting out real utility, and are not necessarily making moves. And there are some things that happens when you grow that fast. And I think anybody that's ever grown a business understands that the first thing you start doing is you start breaking stuff. And of course, Solana is infamous for breaking things. Their co-founder addresses the reliability issue at Breakpoint, which I think is a great name for Solana, Breakpoint, because they're kind of at a breakpoint right now. When you think about where Solana is in its early stage development cycle and its life, and then some of the things that has happened to it really in the last year. Here's Anatoly talking about this. He says the past year has been mired with network reliability issues, outages. Recent updates they think are going to help resolve all these issues, and that's true. I mean, but this has been said before, so I'm still somewhat cautious of this. And they've had a lot of challenges, but they would say the whole last year has been all about reliability, and I think that's one of the things that they're going to have to really gain to start getting some even more reputation that is going to go in the right direction for Web3. Because remember, we still are not at scale of any type for Web3. We are very early on in terms of Web3 and the companies that are building upon it. They kind of talk about it here. It's a pretty bad Web2 experience when you're competing with Google and Facebook with all these other applications. And I think they're right. They've got to be able to kind of leap to the next level. So whenever you improve one, you may actually hurt some of the others. And I think this is one of the things where they're trying to change a lot of this. They are working on some aspects of this. This is with a new firm called Jump Crypto to build Solana scaling solution called FireDancer. I'll get into that in a minute because it's a very it's a unique application, but also the capability of what FireDancer might do for Solana is pretty significant in terms of scalability. Just further on to their downtime. This just shows you the Solana uptime over the last. It's about once a month. They're dealing with a major outage or some sort of network outage that causes some problems. So you kind of have to, if you're a Solana investor, or if you're a Solana dApp user or a utility maven of Solana, you have to be expecting those kinds of downtime. Now, most of the time, hey, listen, a 90 plus, 95, 99 plus percentage uptime is pretty good, especially in early stage, in beta, which is really what Solana truly is. The thing that impresses me is the fact that Solana, much like Polygon, has been able to really start to gain notice from some of the biggest companies in Web 2 to kind of leverage what's moving into Web 3. Here's a good example. Google is signaling a major crypto push with ETH and Solana support. And that to me is, just that headline alone is enough to kind of get your attention, because there's a lot happening within this. So they talk about collaborations, popular blockchain networks in here over the last few weeks. But ETH is the first blockchain supported by the engine. Rival network Solana is now to follow, which I think is great, because this is going to be another one of those scenarios where we've got truly good chains that could potentially start really rolling out into some of the bigger Web 2 protocols and platforms in the future. And then you kind of see a little bit more. It says Web3 companies require dedicated nodes, can relay transactions, deploy smart contracts. We know all that. And then, of course, Google Cloud Compute and network infrastructure is really kind of the I don't know, I would say this is the answer for a lot of these kind of scenarios. Some people might look at this and say, hey, that might be too much centralization. Many people don't like that. But I think there's some opportunity here, I think, especially for use case for dApps and for utility applications that start to fly up. We'll talk about Render, not in this video. We're going to be doing another video on Render and some of the things that you need to be watching out for, because there is so much happening here. It's going at such a speed, you could miss some of this, and it really does matter in the sense of what the future might be. Let's see here. They kind of said, this was another thing. I thought this was a good statement by their cloud guy. It says, natural evolution for us, because we saw a lot of our financial services, crypto native gaming customers do more on blockchain related workloads, Google Cloud, and it was clear that a dedicated product suite for Web3 would serve them better. So to me, that is a huge step in the right direction for Google, and it starts to move in the right direction for a lot of these kinds of projects, including all the projects around Solana. Last point here says, we recognize how active and passionate the Solana community is, would agree, and we want to make it a priority for Google Cloud. So the fact that they're doing that at this pace, very interesting. Google announced announces a Web3 team. This is right here in 2022. Look how early you guys are. I mean, think about this. To me, this is a very early aspect. Now, remember, Google did a lot of this back in 2020 with their first validator, which was Hedera. That's Hashgraph. And we talked about Hedera on this show as well. But I think the fact that Hedera has not necessarily gained the popularity and the community strength that Solana, Polygon, and some of those others have really started to move into, at least in Web3, even though I think Hedera and HBAR will be right there in the mix. But that was an interesting point, is that now Google is in Web3. This, to me, probably some of the biggest news that really kind of cracked the topic. I want to jump over to Neon Labs, which is a little bit about FireDancer. Here's Neon Labs to support EVM on Solana, and this is coming out as early as December this year. So their plan is to release its mainnet on an EVM on Solana for December 12th. So this is good. This is a mechanism that's going to basically enable developers to write on Ethereum applications on top of Solana. So why is that important? The opportunity because of the ETH ecosystem, the ETH developer ecosystem, which is much larger than Solana, and the potential for how this might scale down the road. So lots there for sure. Their existing smart contract framework is not EVM compatible. That is an issue. So developing ETH apps on Solana isn't possible right now. Neon is going to change that and really kind of step into the next phase of it. And there's a lot around this. You know, I was looking at just some additional stuff that they put on here. This was one of their guys over at Jump, which is Kevin Bowers. He's running basically let me kind of zoom in on this a little bit for you. Basically, it was a version of a demo validator that would give them the capability of resembling a Solana validator. And they did this live on stage at Breakpoint. So they showed in reality what this might look like in terms of scalability for Solana. So on an EVM compatible scenario. Now, I know some of this, guys, maybe it's a little bit heady, but the point is that in any infrastructure that's being built for next generation technology, you've got to have use cases and utility that enables these things to work with other things. Now, whatever you do on Web 2 today, I want you to step back. If you're in business today, if you're in research, if you're in medical, it doesn't matter what industry you're in. If you're in Web 2, which you are, step back for a second. I want you to start to think about what's happening with Web 3. Very early stage, a lot of new companies coming into the pit, and that is for sure. So here's Neon, and they're talking about their mainnet. It's going to be launching obviously here in December. I want to blow up this this picture right here because I want you to see the kind of integrations and the partnerships that are in here. You've got wallet partnerships right there, all the way from MetaMask, some unknown, the well-done's, okay. Neoscan, the graph is in here on infrastructure, the bridge with Wormhole, and then you've got all the dApps that have so far come on. Obviously, Aave and Curve are in there. So this is early stage, but also really good news, I think, for Solana in general when you think about the ability to scale and kind of jump to next level. Now, it's good news, bad news, and I'll get to the bad news here in a second if you're thinking Solana long term, because this is kind of whether you're looking at investment strategy or just maybe discovering Solana and should I maybe buy this token for the first time. Circle came on stage also and talked about their expansion of native support for the EC, the Eurocoin. And this is going to be happening now on Solana. They're talking about first half of 2023. So again, this is another big advantage. Remember, ERC20 Circle, USDC, ERC20 token, the ability to move on to Solana. Big thing, I think, in the ability for more flexible stablecoins out there within the market. So the only problem is there are some scenarios that this doesn't necessarily play out perfectly, and there are some issues that Solana is facing right now. So over the weekend, I'm sure you guys heard it, the whole FTX drama that has been playing out with Binance. We're going to be doing, if you didn't check it out, make sure and catch the live stream we just did. It really breaks down everything that's happening with CZ, Sam Bankman, but the ripple effects that this could have in the Solana community through Alameda. So I want to jump to this tweet right here. So if you're wondering why Solana was picked by Facebook and not Cardano, you have FTX CEO investments, 292 mil, unlocked Solana, 863 mil of locked, 41 mil of sold collateral. Sam was an early investor in Solana. So this is not a bad thing, but at the same time, with everything that's been happening with Sam and also with what's going on at the aspect of Alameda. And I want to kind of notice something here, because this is from Corey Klippstein. It's fascinating to see what the majority of the net equity in Alameda's business actually is FTX owned, centrally controlled, pointed out thin air token, said Corey Klippstein, CEO of Swan. We've had Corey on the show. Listen, I'm just going to tell you right up front, Corey is a Bitcoin maxi. There is no such thing as blockchain. There is no such thing as crypto in his mind. So take that with a grain of salt. But he does go directly at Caroline. And this is important. Check back with our video, because we talk a little bit about Caroline Ellison, who is the CEO over at Alameda, and why they were trying to defend the FTT token because of how much equity was basically at leverage for Alameda. All this may be playing out literally as this video is going onto our channel. So be paying attention, because this one gets a little bit scary for Solana because of the connection to Alameda, who has so much, and obviously Sam Bankman, who also controls a large percentage and portion of Solana. The other thing right here, just to give you another kind of reality check, is in the last 24 hours, FTX has minted over 331 million USDC on Solana. So right there, you're going to start to see some potential issues here, whether you think about tokenomics or not, and I'm hoping that you guys do, because Solana has always had a questionable tokenomics model. Now, I know my friend over at InvestAdder, he's still one of the biggest Solana guys I know, and he's always trying to convince me in on this. But again, there are some tokens. Listen, I get into a lot of tokens. I have terrible tokenomics because I like the project and the faith of it, and I just can get convicted, and I understand it might go to zero, but that I'm fully aware of that. With Solana, I feel like this is one of those projects that it's so high profile that I don't know that anybody on the street that just came into altcoins for the first time, because they hear so much about it and the community's so loud, they think that it's an automatic slam dunk. And I'm not saying that it's not, but it definitely should have a lot of research put into it before you put money into Solana. So especially with what's happening right now with Alameda, Bankman, and CZ, and I mean, this is a mess. Check that video out, you'll understand. So here's another one. Here's Dylan LeClaire, he kind of jumped on it right here. Per CoinDesk, Alameda Research has 14.6 billion of assets, again, 8 billion of liabilities. This is the concern I have right now. For assets, 3.6 FTT, 2.1 of FTT collateral, and then 3.3 of crypto, and then 292 million in SOL, 863 million locked. So this could be a problem down the short term if anything actually comes out of Alameda potentially going insolvent. There have also been people already on, and we'll break that down in the live for you guys, where Alameda could already be insolvent. There are a lot of things that are happening right now. It's literally an active hot wire. So be paying attention to what's going on with FTT. If you own FTT, if you didn't listen to that video right now, I would just get out of it. And it's just a point of don't risk. If you're looking at the current market status, try to stay out of any risk, much less high risk. We've got a lot of things happening in the macro pressures that we continue to see. These things are not slowing down, people. And we've been talking about this for months. You guys follow us long enough, you know what our vision is. You know what our conviction is. We think this is going to be a much harder winter, and we're going to see more 75s for sure coming from the Fed. And this is only going to continue to put a little more pressure on it. And just as a reminder, because Solana's doing a lot of right things, doing great thing, but they are much like the Fed. They can just print more. And if you look at the tokenomics right there, you can kind of see exactly what's happening here on circulating supply. It is skyrocketing. Again, how does this play out over a long period of time is the question mark. This might be a short trade. It might be one of those things where you look for an adjustment as the market starts to adjust out. You might also be looking for a black swan with Alameda that could affect Solana, might end up opening up a really good buy position for Solana. So many things that could be playing right now. The key here is I want you guys to step out, do your research, jump in on these, and start to look at these as to whether or not this is the kind of token for you that you guys want to get into. All right, if you're listening in over on the podcast side of things, remember, these are not financial advice. We always, we'll do these kinds of things. We're not doing token pricing on this one, so we don't have to worry too much. But when we do analysis, we always let you guys know. But the key here is, because we're talking so much about Solana, the token, I want you guys to at least have a good starting point with all of what is good happening. But at the same time, counter your position with the bad things that are happening right now that are circling, not necessarily on Solana, but because of the relationships that they have within the market. If you're over on the podcast, get over here to the YouTube channel. This is the place to catch it all. It's really easy. Join the Diamond Circle. It's the #1 place for you guys, and it's free. Catch me out on Twitter @PaulBaron. We'll catch you next time right here on TechPath.